Your Apple TV is just sitting there, doing nothing. No picture, no sound, and pressing every button on the remote feels completely pointless. Before you assume it is dead or start panicking about buying a replacement, walk through these steps with me. Most Apple TV power issues come down to a handful of fixable causes, and the fix is usually closer than you think. Start with the power cable, not the remote. This might sound overly basic, but 9 out of 10 times when someone says their Apple TV will not turn on, the Apple TV is actually fine. The problem is somewhere between the wall outlet and the back of the device. The power cable on Apple TV 4K uses USB-C, and these cables work loose over time without anyone noticing. Unplug the USB-C power cable from the back of the Apple TV completely. Do not just wiggle it, pull it all the way out, wait 30 seconds, then push it back in firmly until it seats fully. Do the same with the other end if it is plugged into a power adapter rather than directly into the TV's USB port. Now check the outlet itself. Plug your phone charger into the same outlet and see if it charges. If the outlet is dead or tripping a circuit, that is your entire problem right there. Try a completely different outlet in the room before assuming anything is wrong with the Apple TV itself. Apple's own support page specifically calls this out as the first diagnostic step for any Apple TV that appears completely unresponsive. Check the TV input and HDMI connection. The Apple TV may be fully powered on with no indication visible to you because the TV is on the wrong input. This happens more than anyone admits. The Apple TV is working fine, but the television is showing HDMI 2 while the Apple TV is plugged into HDMI 1. Use your TV remote to cycle through every input and check each one before drawing any conclusions. Once you have confirmed the right input, look at the HDMI cable. Unplug it from both ends, the Apple TV and the TV, and plug it back in firmly at both sides. A slightly loose HDMI connection produces a completely black screen that looks exactly like a device that will not turn on. If you have a second HDMI cable available, swap it in. Cables fail more often than people realize, and there is no visible indication when they do. If your Apple TV goes through an HDMI switch, a soundbar, or an AV receiver before reaching your TV, bypass all of that and connect the Apple TV directly into one of the TV's HDMI ports. External HDMI devices interrupt the signal handshake and can prevent the picture from appearing even when the Apple TV itself is working perfectly. If you replaced your Apple TV's cable, leave a comment below telling us whether that actually fixed it. You would be surprised how many people this one step saves. Force restart the Apple TV. If the power and HDMI connections check out and the screen is still dark, force restart the Apple TV using the Siri remote. On a current Siri remote, press and hold the back button and the TV button at the same time until the status light on the Apple TV flashes rapidly. Release both buttons and wait for the device to restart on its own. On an older Apple TV remote, press and hold the menu button and the home button simultaneously until the light begins flashing. This forces the Apple TV to abort whatever process it was stuck on and restart from a clean state. After the restart, give the Apple TV 60 to 90 seconds to fully boot before assuming nothing has changed. The startup process takes longer than most people expect, and pressing buttons during that window can interrupt it. Do a cold power restart. A cold restart is different from a force restart through the remote. It fully drains any residual electrical charge from the device's internal components and gives you the cleanest possible startup. Unplug the Apple TV's power cable from the back of the device entirely. Leave it unplugged for a full 2 minutes, not 30 seconds, 2 full minutes. This matters because certain capacitors inside hold a charge that preserves an error state even when the cable appears disconnected. After 2 minutes, reconnect the power cable and give the Apple TV up to 90 seconds to boot completely. The front status light will blink slowly during startup and settle into a steady glow when the device is ready. If you are still seeing a black screen at this point, but the status light is on, the issue is almost certainly with the HDMI cable or the TV's input settings rather than the Apple TV itself. Restore the Apple TV via iTunes or Finder. If the Apple TV powers on partially, the status light comes on, the fan runs, but nothing appears on screen after several minutes, the system software may be corrupted. Unlike iPhones, you cannot restore an Apple TV 4K by connecting it to a USB port on a computer because it does not have one. For Apple TV 4K models, the only path to a full software restore is through Apple support directly. Contact them through Apple's official support page, describe the behavior you are seeing, including whether the status light is on, and they will walk you through the next steps for your specific model. For Apple TV HD models, you can connect the device to a Mac or Windows PC using a micro USB cable, open Finder or iTunes, and select Restore Apple TV to reinstall the operating system from scratch. This resolves issues caused by failed software updates or corrupted system files that prevent a normal startup from completing. After the restore, the device sets up fresh as if it were brand new out of the box.